Hello everyone. Welcome to the Blue Cafe. It's good to be back. Now on to today's story. 40 years on for my father. Post-separation. TL, doctor, my father married a woman who cheated on him and then left him because of her inability to have kids. Now she is sad and alone, looking at how my dad moved past her with kids of his own now. Reditate this last time, but I will try again. So this is about my 24M father, 65M, and his first marriage. I am from his second marriage. In 1981, he married a woman we shall call Becky. She made him leave the military after a decade of service in 1982. Things were fine for 2 years, until they began to try for kids. Then, it turns out she could not have kids. She and my father were devastated. My father was willing to adopt and until then be good with the 2 dogs they had. My father said that those dogs were the only good things to come out of that marriage. But, Becky spiraled into alcoholism and began to cheat on my father. My father was an oil worker and Becky was a sign painter who often stayed home to work. I believe she used this time to cheat on my father. Eventually it devolved to arguments and her even attacking my father, hitting him and throwing a glass stein at his head. This went on, until he came home one day to an empty house, no dogs and divorce papers left on the counter. My father was devastated, but he signed the divorce papers, and then she immediately married another man. But, that man considered my father a threat, and then Becky also divorced him and then later divorced a third man. My father, however, rejoined the military in 1987 and then retired in 2005 as an E7. I am an O2 and he was my first salute when I commissioned. He went into the reserves in 1992 and then went back to working for Shell in the oil fields of the San Joaquin Valley in California. He met my mother in 1996, got married in 1997 and had me the same year, and then my younger sister in 1999. Whenever we would go back to my father's hometown, he would always avoid a certain hotel/bar. Because Becky would go there to pick up men. When my paternal grandmother died in 2004, myself and my little sister went with our parents to her funeral. That and my paternal grandfather's death and funeral 18 months later were the only times I have ever seen my father cry. So, it was an emotional time for all of us, so much so that my father did not know Becky had shown up to my grandmother's funeral and had seen my little sister and I, something my father had sought to avoid. She did not talk to us though, and my aunt told my father months later about it. As for Becky, her parents died and then her brothers too, who also had no kids either. So now she is alone with no family, and looks on sadly on how my father's life has progressed so much beyond her. My father views her as a bad patch of his life that he rarely thinks about. My father, however, was close with Becky's mom and they talked regularly. She was a dog breeder and my dad was trying to get a puppy for my little sister and I from her. However, she sadly died and then the deal fell through with the people who took over. Becky used her mother's death as an excuse to call my dad again, saying she was returning his call. My father replied he did not call her, but they talked for the better part of an hour. Talking about myself and my sister, my dad and mother, and how Becky was doing. My mother was not happy with this, as you can imagine, with how Becky treated my father. But, that was the last time, to my knowledge, he had talked to her and that was over a decade ago, and before that he had last talked to her just before he met my mom. So, my mother got over it. Becky, however, still cannot get over my dad. My dad said she sounded very sad as she said goodbye to him. However, she made her choices and my father made his. I still cannot help but feel sad for her and sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have had an elder half-siblings from her. Yet, for whatever reasons of biology and fate, it was not meant to be. But, my father has been married to my mother for over 24 years with 2 kids and he showed me how to be a good hard-working person and overcome situations such as that. So, this story is for all of you. Know that you all can overcome and so cheating on you. I wish you all the best and, for those so inclined, God bless. Have a wonderful day everyone. Some people never appreciate what they have thrown away until it is too late to get it back. What a wonderful story, thank you for sharing. A common story with a not so common happy ending. It's weird sometimes to see the aftermath of infidelity. That our nightmare is their good old days. I do love happy endings. I noticed not so many on here, so I thought my father's story was the best to help get more on here. Becky made her bed. If she could have had kids, maybe she wouldn't have cheated, but there's a good chance it would have gone the same way anyway. And then your dad wouldn't have met your mom. Thank you for sharing. Truthfully, it is probably a good thing Becky couldn't have kids. I've never heard of a cheater who is a really good parent. Cheaters are selfish people who lack integrity. They not only disrespect their spouse by cheating, they disrespect their entire family and are willing to blow up their children's childhood for their own sexual pleasure. I'm always glad to see parents sharing their past experiences with their kids. Most parents hide their past. This prevents kids from really getting to know and appreciate their parents as real and complete human beings. So many lessons to be learned if only our parents would open up about themselves. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.